The Louvre, or more correctly called Musée du Louvre, is one of the most famous and most interesting museums in the whole world. In fact, it is the second most visited art museum in the whole world behind the Palace Museum in Beijing. Also, it is so large and contains so many pieces of art that if you were to look at each one for only 30 seconds, it would take you about 7 years to see everything. It has been referred to as a superstructure of culture by the New York Times due to its enormous size and collection. It is located in the heart of Paris on the Seine River. The museum is actually a smaller part of the whole Louvre Palace, which was built in the 12th century by Philip Augustus to protect the city against Viking attacks. Remember when the French had to defend Paris from Vikings because that was a thing? It was changed throughout the Middle Ages until the 14th century when Charles V made the Louvre Palace his permanent residence. Then, in 1546, Francis I renovated the palace in the French Renaissance style and started the private art collection that eventually became the Louvre Museum. He even collected some of the most famous pieces of the museum's collection, such as the Mona Lisa. At first, this collection was private, since all of it was acquired by and for the king, who hates sharing. Each subsequent king, until Louis XIV got up and moved to his palace in Italy in 1682, lived and added to the Louvre's collection and the building itself. Even though Louis XIV built his own palace, he still contributed to the collection of the Louvre. The idea of opening up the private collection to the public originated around the 17th century. Then, following the time of the French Revolution and the fall of the kings who hated sharing, the collection was opened to the public in 1793 by the Directory. Over the next 2 centuries, the museum underwent more and more additions and renovations, adding in more wings, an underground level that had offices and shops, and many more things. In fact, the iconic glass pyramid that stands so majestically in front of the Louvre was built as recent as 1988 and is currently undergoing renovations from 2015 to 2017. There is no doubt this isn't the end of the additions and renovations to the Louvre. It is a living structure growing every day with a rich history and a bright future. Enough with the history, and now for the art. The Louvre contains paintings and other forms of art from all periods and locations of Europe up until the Revolution of 1834. Yes, more revolutions. Now, on the must-see list, we have the Mona Lisa, Coronation of Napoleon, Winged Victory, the Nike of Samaroth, Venus de Milo, Raft of the Medusa, Liberty Leading the People, Napoleon III's Apartments, Psyche Revived by Cupid's Kiss, Code of Hammurabi, Virgin and Child with Saint Anne, Virgin of the Rocks, John the Baptist, La Bella Jardiniere, Saint Francis of Assisi Receiving the Stigmata, Madonna of the Angels, and Botticelli's frescoes. You may have noticed that in that list I mentioned one of the most famous pieces of art in the history of the world, the Mona Lisa. Here is a map of the Louvre. Every dot represents a picture posted on Instagram in that location using geotagging. Want to take a stab at what is there in that giant cluster right there? It's none other than the Mona Lisa. The Mona Lisa was painted by Leonardo da Vinci in the early 16th century and then became part of the Louvre collection shortly after. It even spent a brief stay in the bedroom of Napoleon. Fun fact, on August 21st, 1911, someone stole the Mona Lisa. Someone just walked in and took it. They hid in a supply closet, waited till the museum had closed, took the painting, hid it under their coat, and walked out. It was gone for a little over 2 years before its discovery in Italy, where the thief was trying to sell it to the curators of the Uffizi Gallery in an attempt to return the painting to its country of origin. It is since put under more rigorous and substantial security. The subject of the Mona Lisa is thought to be Lisa Gherardini, the wife of an Italian merchant, but nothing can be said for sure. Much that interests about the painting is the mystery surrounding it. Much is still unknown about the painting's origin, subject, clothing, scenery, and everything else. Many believe that the veil she is wearing is a sign of grieving, and don't even get me started on the whole eyebrow debacle. This, paired with the simple majesty, combines to form a painting worth of worldwide recognition and praise. It is a prized possession of both the Louvre and France. Coronation of Napoleon, or when it's called by its official name, the Coronation of the Emperor Napoleon I and the crowning of Empress Josephine in Notre Dame Cathedral on December 2nd, 1804, was the second painting we're going to look at. This painting was commissioned by the Emperor himself, because when you're the Emperor, why wouldn't you want more amazing paintings of yourself? It was painted by Jacques-Louis David, our favorite artist, with such amazing hits as Moat in the Bathtub and the Tennis Court Oath. He was present at the coronation and tried to paint the painting in such a way that he would portray the artistic splendor while simultaneously showing the event accurately, almost like a really artsy photo. Many of the characters in the painting were family members of Napoleon, and the painting is often considered to be a family portrait. He also painted a second copy for display in America. Also on display is the Wedding Feast at Cana. Painted in 1553 by Veronese, this 7 by 10 meter painting depicts the wedding feast at Cana where Jesus turned water into wine. It was commissioned by the Benedictine monastery where Veronese was given full creative freedom to express the scene. Illustrated in the painting are over 130 attendees, each with intricate detail and beauty. Among these, Veronese is thought to have painted himself. This is not an uncommon occurrence when the artists paint large crowds. Much of the silverware and vessels are painted in a 16th century style to accompany the interior of the monastery, even though the actual event took place in around 30 AD. But this also contrasts with the plentiful religious symbols found inside of the painting. After its stay in the monastery, it was rolled up and shipped to the Louvre in 1997 by Napoleon's troops. The Louvre is an amazing museum with a rich and beautiful history and art. It is an amazing collaboration of artists and architects from throughout history. It is truly an extraordinary place.